Okay, so back to what we are saying, the parasite. So last weekend we said that we started by introducing symbiosis, right? And we established that symbiosis is the same thing as mutualism. Is that correct? Is that true? Then we said that we have how many types of symbiosis? How many? 4. What's the first one there? Phoresis. What did I say? What does phoresis talk about? Just mechanical carriage. Is that correct? Example is housefly and what? Housefly and bacteria. Housefly and bacteria is a typical example of phoresis. The second one there is mutualism, right? In mutualism, is there any benefits? How many people benefit there? 2. How many is harmed? 0. Commensalism, any benefits? How many organisms benefit? Any harm? No. Parasitism, any benefits? Any harm? How many is benefits? How many is harmed? So that's the simple summary of that association. Simple. Then we now came to say that in parasitism, there are 2 major things that made parasitism very unique. We said that the first thing is the metabolic dependence. Did we say that? And second one is the immune response. Is that correct? We said that when a parasite enters the body of the host, it obviously elicits an immune response because your white blood cells will come to fight it. At that point, they begin to release what we call antibodies, and from there, your body begins to react. Then after that, we began to talk about the concepts of parasites and hosts. And we have said that parasite is any organism that harms a smaller organism that harms a bigger one called the host. Then we spoke about types of parasites too, such as endoparasites, right? Which one again? Ectoparasites. Which one again? Obligate parasites. Which one again? Which one? I added hyper. Add one more. There's one we have to add. Remember, I told us it should be 6. Add facultative. I told us to leave a space that day. Do you remember? So go there and add facultative parasites as number 5. Number 4 is hyperparasites. Hyperparasites. Okay, so we said that the difference between endo and ectoparasites is which prepositions? In and on. Which one is in? Endo. Which one is on? So that an endoparasite lives inside the host, while ecto lives on the host. As clear as that. Examples, something like tapeworm is an endoparasite, while something like lice is what? Ectoparasite. Even mosquito is an ectoparasite. Is that correct? Okay. Then we spoke about obligate parasites, and I told us it is a parasite of a particular host. That parasite needs a particular host for it to survive. Did we say that? Then we said that hyperparasite is a parasite to another parasite. Did I say it? Okay, I did not talk about that one. Just write somewhere. Hyperparasite is a parasite of parasites. That's how we say it. Hyperparasites are parasites of parasites. They are parasites of parasites. A popular example is an organism called bacteriophage. Example is an organism called bacteriophage. An example of hyperparasites is bacteriophage. Now, what does bacteriophage mean? Now, anywhere you hear phage in biology, phage is always talking about virus. Talking about what? The word bacteria. Well, what do you think it means? Bacteria. So from this, you can actually coin out the name of this. We have that a bacteriophage is the virus that attacks what? Bacteria. So is this a hyperparasite from our definition? Bacteria, is it a parasite? What is a parasite? Any organism that does what? Causes harm to another organism called the host. Does bacteria cause harm to you? Does it cause illness to your body? So it is a parasite. So virus of bacteria is called bacteriophage. Then the last one, facultative parasite. Facultative. Facultative parasite. Now remember, when we started this class, I told us that every living thing has either a free living mode of life or what? Free living or what? Parasitic. If you are not a parasite, what are you? You are free living. You will either be one. So it's now left for you to choose the one you will be. But you can never be both free living and what? Parasitic. Now, but along the line, we discover that there are some organisms that alternate between free living and parasitic. That means at a certain stage of life, they are free living. At another stage, they are what? Parasitic. So that kind of organism that alternates between the two modes of life are said to be facultative what? Parasites. Should I explain again? We agree that every living thing should either be free living or what? Parasitic. Free living means you are not causing harm. Is that clear? Parasitic means you are doing what? Causing harm. So free living is more or less like saying a mutualistic relationship. Is that correct? Free living, you are mutual. I'm not causing harm to you, you are not causing harm to me. We are good. Is that clear? Now, as I said, it's like when we discuss the viruses, we agree that a virus can never have both DNA and what? RNA. That you must choose between DNA or RNA. Did we agree on that? Yes. So similarly, we said that every living thing must either be free living or what? Parasitic. You can never be both free living and parasitic. But as time went on, we discovered that there were some organisms that alternate between both free living and parasitic mode. At a certain stage of their life, we see that they are free living, they are not causing harm. But as time goes on, maybe as they grow, we now see that they are now beginning to cause harm. So at that first stage, they were free living. At the second stage, they are parasitic. So those organisms that alternate, we say that they are what? Facultative parasites. Did we get that? So how I used to remember then is, I would say that the spelling of free living begins with letter what? F. And facultative begins with letter what? F. So it's like saying that facultative parasites are free living parasites. Does it make sense? Does it make sense? It's like saying that this is a young old man. I put oxymoron as figures of speech. When they wayek there, I don't know how they wayek. But have you heard about oxymoron before? It is a figure of speech whereby contrasting words are placed side by side. Is that correct? It's like saying that this is a tall, short boy. Tall and short, are they opposites? Yes. So this is a kind of oxymoron, saying that facultative parasites are what? Free living parasites. You should be able to understand what we mean by free living parasites. Is that clear, please? Example of organism that belongs here is an organism we call Strongyloides tecoralis. Remember, I told you you'll be hearing funny names in this parasites we want to do. So example of a free living or facultative parasite is Strongyloides sp or Strongyloides tecoralis. Okay, So that's about the parasite. Then the host. We said that the host is any organism that harbors or shelters a parasite. And we talked about types of hosts. Did I say types of hosts? We said that we have parathenic hosts. We have accidental hosts, natural hosts, reservoir hosts. I did mention the most two important we need in this class. Did I say about primary hosts? Please, these are the two most important for this class. We have the primary or definitive hosts. Then we have the secondary or intermediate hosts. So we have primary or definitive, and then secondary or intermediate. So what's the difference between these two? As simple as I want you to take it. Please listen, look up. We have that primary host is the host where the parasite undergoes sexual reproduction. Undergoes what? Why secondary is the one it undergoes asexual reproduction. You can take it as simple as this. Did you get what I said? Primary host is host for which one? Sexual. Why secondary is for asexual. Then we also have that secondary host is the host where the organism develops into adult stage. Adult stage. So the organism can undergo either asexual reproduction in the secondary host, or it can develop into adults in that secondary host. So anyhow you see it in exam, know that once you are talking about sexual reproduction, which host is that? Primary. Asexual is which one? Secondary. As easy as that. So these are the hosts that usually come out in exam. I'll ask you the primary host of which Wuchereria bankrupt is dash. The primary host of blood fluke is dash. These are the ones you will see in exam. Okay, so I feel I've given us the basis for the parasite class. So we'll have to now dive into the individual groups of the parasites and see the organisms there. I will make it very simple for you. You know I love you so much. Do I? Yes. So I'll not want to stress you. So I'll make it very easy for you such that you will learn with ease, because the names you'll be seeing here won't be funny. Okay, so let's start with protozoan parasites. Protozoan parasites. So as I told us before, we have that protozoans can also be called first animals. Did I say it? The word protos, what does protos mean? First. So these parasites are more or less small animals, very small animals, very small. The first organism we are going to talk about here is called Entamoeba histolytica. Please, what did I say? Say it again. Please, as you are writing, be paying attention. Okay. Now, this is a very big name, right? Let's divide the name and see what it means. Now, this name can be divided into 4. The first part of this name is ent. Is what? This word ent is coming from the word enteron. It's coming from where? The second name here is what? Is what? Amoeba. The third one, what is this? What is that? The word histo means tissue. Means what? What's the last one? Litica. The word litica is coming from the word lice. Have you heard about lice before? You've heard about electrolysis. Is that correct? That lice means to break down. It means what? Okay. Now the word enteron. Did we do digestive system last year? On an never mind digestive system. What is enteron? Okay, so I said that these words are homonyms. They are what? Homonyms. Digestive tract, GIT, and alimentary canal have the same meaning but different spellings and pronunciations. While guts and enteron mean the same thing but different spellings. So I told us that the digestive system is divided into primary organs and secondary organs. And we see that the primary organs is what make up the digestive system or tract. Primary organs make up which one? Digestive tract. While the secondary organs is made up of three things. Please, who can tell me the three things that make up secondary organs of digestive system? If nobody gets it, I'll drop this mic and go. Our class will end here today. If you know you were here last year when I taught this thing, stand up, please. In all honor. If you don't stand, I'll curse your jumbo. I'm angry now. Everybody stand up. People are not trying. I don't know how you want to pass this exam. If you were not here last year when I taught this thing, sit down. One of you should tell me what are the secondary organs of digestive system. Raise your hand if you want to talk, please. Did you hear what she said? Say it again. Did you hear her? Repeat what she said, please. Say it again. Okay, unchakuna baro onwunoru. Akama aderia. Please sit down. So please, what I'm saying in essence is that when you join, so this word enteron here means digestive system. So when you join these four words together, you can actually get the meaning of what this parasite does in the body. Now, what does it do? We have that Entamoeba histolytica is actually, first of all, an amoeba. It is what? An amoeba that lives where? In the enteron. That lives where? What does enteron mean? Digestive system. Now, what does it do in the enteron? It lyses tissues. It does what? What does lyse mean? Breakdown. This is simply what this organism does. Leave the long name. That's the summary of the action of this organism in the GIT. It is an organism that stays in the particularly large intestine, stays there, and breaks down the tissues of the large intestine. As simple as that. As simple as that. Now, this organism is able to break down the tissues of the large intestine through a chemical it releases. This chemical is called histolysine. It's called what? It releases these chemicals in the GIT, and this chemical is what breaks down the walls of the intestine. So in response, the body tries to counter this and elicits an immune response, and then we begin to feel sick. Now, there are other species in this study. Sometimes you will see where they write something SP. Have you seen something like that before? The SP there simply means species. Means what? Sometimes you will see something SPP. Have you seen such before? SPP is just trying to tell you this one is plural, while this one is singular. So we can have Ascaris SP, and then we can have Ascaris and hookworms SPP. That means I'm talking about more than one class of organism. More than one. Okay, now we have that in our normal biology, we studied amoeba as an organism, did we? Yes, we did. We studied amoeba as a free-living organism. Is that what they taught you? Yes. That examples of protozoans are amoeba, paramecium, euglena, chlamydomonas, and more, right? So all these organisms we are studied as free-living. As what? I remember that topic in biology. They told us cell. They divided cell as a free-living, cell as a colony, cell as filaments. So is that correct? So those organisms we are taught as free-living organisms. So here now you are trying to tell you that amoeba can actually exist as free-living and also exist as parasites. But the parasitic ones and free-living ones are different. They are different. Now there are other species of, actually we write this thing as Entamoeba SP, meaning that this amoeba, the amoeba that you can find in the body are of different species, of these different species. There are some that are commensals. What are commensals? Organisms that undergo commensalism. Is that right? Some are commensals, some are even parasitic. Example, we have another species of amoeba called Entamoeba gingivalis. We have another organism called Trichomonas tenax. Now these two organisms live in the mouth, is in everybody's mouth. Entamoeba gingivalis and Trichomonas tenax live in everybody's mouth, and they stay there not as parasites, but they stay there as commensals. As what? What do they do? These two organisms stay in your mouth. They are in your gums particularly. Now, you notice that every day after eating in the night, when you wake up in the morning, what happens to your mouth? Does it smell? Yes. It smells because of these organisms in your mouth. Now, what they do is that they help you to break down food particles in your teeth. There is no way you can brush out everything that is a food particle between your teeth. They will tell us that there is no way you will take your baths and you are 100% clean. Have you heard something like that before? Also, give you iron sponge on your skin. You cannot be 100% clean. You can't. If you want to try it after bathing, if you come out, look for a white hanky and scrub your body. You still see that on that hanky or wipes or anything white. So your body can be, there's difference between neat, clean, and pure. There are three different things. Something can be neat but not clean. Is that correct? Is it true? This thing you call pure water, is it pure? The proper name for that thing should be sachet water. Should be what? It's not even clean water. It's not clean. It's not hygienic. Because even that nylon it is inside is even dirty. The day I went to where they make sachet water, I told myself, if everybody will see how what they put in their mouths is processed, we'll stop eating. We'll stop eating. Even that by you eat. Maybe how when the woman was, I say, hey. And when you eat it, you're actually quite real. Hey, opanka toka. Some might even be sweating, it will drip inside there or turn wire or gas even in. It's in a man kitchen, she got it, but I own a shad man. On a she will go now. Sweat is salt. Don't you know that sweat is salty? So it will add salt to the soup, it will be sweet. So actually, what we do is that the human body, God has actually positioned the human body in a way that it has self-immunity to certain things. Everything that enters your mouth, is unhygienic. Is what? That's why HCl is in your stomach. God knows why he put it there. So HCl helps to fight those organisms, those parasites, antigens, foreign bodies as they are entering. The body is fighting. I know they told us when we were small, if you swallow key, what will happen to you? I know those days there is this. Do you know how the battery of watch looks like? It's very small, right? When we were children, we like licking those things. Did you lick it with me? Okay, you did not lick. Once we hear that watch has spoiled, first thing is we enter engineering work. He lose Godia sharply. Can he lose a year in a trouble battery? And once you are bringing the battery into your mouth, and that's we say that the taste of those batteries is metallic taste. Is what? Metals have a taste. Let me not say what I want to say now. But that's how the human vagina is actually, that's the taste of the human vagina too. A non-infectious, healthy, hygienic vagina should have what taste? Metallic taste. And no foul smell. And then you come out and start perceiving funny smells from your vagina or vaginal discharge. There is big problem. I know when we were small, they will tell us to put urine in your eye when you have a polo. All those things are unhygienic. Actually, urine is a waste product from your body. So why will you put waste? It's just like you going to Eswama, this thing, dip your hand and rub it on your face. That's how that urine you put in your eye actually. They'll tell you no na agua polo. There are some diseases in your body that will come and will go by themselves. It's not everything you need drugs for. Those kind of diseases in medicine, we say they are self-limiting. They are what? Example. They'll say you have malaria and something will come out in your mouth. Okay, yeah? After some days, you won't see it again. Is that correct? Have you observed it before? They'll tell you, malaria is growing, you know. That is not actually malaria. It is herpes virus. It is what? But the body actually fights it. It regresses. There are sometimes you will be on your own. You start observing things is growing in your ear. After some time, it will go back. Or you look at the nipple, it's becoming hard. After some time, it will go down. Those things are actually infections, but the body will fight it by itself without drugs. They will go. And when they go, we say they are self-limiting. So similarly, even if you leave that Apollo is what we call conjunctivitis. It's called what? Have they taught you eye here? itis in medicine means inflammation. Means what? Anything you hear itis is inflammation. You hear about hepatitis. What does it mean? Inflammation. What does hepa mean? Liver. So what is hepatitis? Inflammation of the liver. Nephritis. What does it mean? Inflammation of the nephron. So any itis is inflammation. So conjunctivitis is simply inflammation of the what? Conjunctiva. Where is your conjunctiva? Inside your eye. If you take it down, that's white, the skin, not the eye itself, the skin. You know, when you go to hospital, doctor will take down your eyes. Have you observed? They're looking at the conjunctiva to know if you have blood. So when that place becomes inflamed, that's what we call Apollo. What we call what? If you leave it, the body will fight it and kill it without that your urine and whatever you are rubbing there. But because the body will fight it and you added urine, when it now goes, the attribute will go to what? Urine. As not kwa mamere and go. Okay, book with a mamere mankechi a book. We actually do a lot of harmful practices. But thank God how the body works. Okay, so as I said, these two organisms are commensals. They live in the mouth. They ensure that there is no way you will brush, even if you like brush 15 times a day. You can't brush out all the food particles between your teeth. So they actually feed from those things. So when you have the remains there, they now stay there and begin to break them down little by little. Now they're able to break them. Have you ever observed an ant eating something? You know, we are science students, so we should actually be observant of our environment. If you have ever seen an ant, ants do two major things. Ant is one of the most, we say that ants are not selfish organisms. They are what? Not selfish. Before they eat, they store. You get what I say? They will just come now, see one food. You will see them. They will be packing it small. They will go and keep, come back and keep. After they're packing, they will now begin to eat. And when they eat, you will notice that their mouth is moving. At times, you'll be hearing sounds like pak, pak. They are breaking down that food. Now, how do they break it? Without saliva in your mouth, can you swallow well? No. So, for you to be able to break down any food particle, you need to liquefy it. So, similarly, for these commensals to break down any kind of food particle in your mouth, they need to release liquid chemicals that will help them to break those things down. Those liquid chemicals is what make your mouth to smell. Is that making sense? So these organisms, actually, we say they are commensals. And which organism is that? Entamoeba, gingivalis, and Trichomonas tenuis. Gingivalis, your mouth, your gum is called gingivagum. In medicine, the gum of the teeth is called gingivagum. So that's where the name gingivalis is coming from. Nevertheless, you'll learn more about all these things later. Okay, so as I said, this is the first organism we are going to be looking at in this class. And I've told you what the organism does. Now, to make it easy for us, I'm just going to give us a table comprising of protozoan organisms, the diseases they cause, and possibly their vectors. So you will not go to bother yourself a lot. Protozoan organisms, vectors, the class is boring, right? What should I do to make it not to be boring? Okay, now listen. To get the disease these organisms cause is very easy. You just need to be adding IACs to the back of every organism. You add what? IACs, and you get the disease. For example, let's check this first one. We have entamoeba sp will cause the disease called entamoebiasis. Called what? We have that the organism Giardia sp, what will it cause? Giardiasis. It will cause what? We have the organism Trypanosoma sp. What is it going to cause? Trypanosomiasis. Please hope you are following what I'm doing. We have the organism Leishmania sp. What is it going to cause? People are not following this class. Everybody stand up. May not say Sobicon. Uncle Nonso, they say you should zoom the ball. They can't see. It's blocked. You want to sleep? I'm sorry. I told you earlier that this particular part of microbiology is boring. So it's not my fault. Sorry. Oh, but you must learn it. Do you have choice? No, you must. You have to. Okay, so we have that Plasmodium sp. What's Plasmodium going to cause? Plasmodiasis. What did I say? What will Leishmania cause again? Leishmaniasis. That thing you call malaria is what we call what? Plasmodiasis. So you can come to hospital, doctor will say this patient has plasmodiasis and salmonellosis. Jesus. What is salmonellosis? Typhoid. Typhoid is caused by salmonella what? Typhi. So you can go home and tell your mom, Mommy, I'm having symptoms of plasmodiasis. So go again. It's way better. So we have that. Another one. Trichomonas sp will cause what we call trichomoniasis. And lastly, Balancindium sp Okay, so these are the 7 major. Do you want to sit down? Will you make me feel tired? You know, I'm looking at your fine faces. My own that is ugly, you are now making it feel tired. If you frown your face, you stand up. Agreed? Okay. Agreed? Okay, sorry, let's stand now. Okay, so these are the 7 major. I know why I'm actually arranging these things. Bacteria, virus, protozoa. So when you see it in an exam, you will not make mistake. Will you make mistake? Measles, is it a bacteria, fungal, protozoan, or viral infection? Which one? Anthrax, is it a bacteria, viral, fungal, or parasitic infection? Bacteria. So that's the reason for all these arrangements I'm making for. So in your head, arrange it that way too. Do you get? Yeah, sit down. Don't distract me again, no, please. So these are the 7 major protozoan organisms we have and the diseases they cause. But out of this, there are some that I must emphasize on very deeply because of your exam. Those ones are Trypanosoma, Plasmodium, Trypanosoma and Plasmodium. We must talk about them very well as a topic and possibly even draw on top, because your exam question come from there a lot. Now, the vectors and the hosts. Entamoeba sp, actually, these organisms, all of them have what we call life cycle. They have what? That means because they are not humans, they undergo different stages of development, which we call life cycle. For worms, this life cycle is called metamorphosis. It's called what? You must have heard about metamorphosis before, right? So metamorphosis is used for which organism? Worms. This metamorphosis can be divided into two. We have the complete and we have the what? Incomplete. Complete metamorphosis is also called holometaboly. It's called what? Why incomplete is called hemimetaboly. It's in your past question. What does hemi mean? Half. Hemi means what? You've heard about hemisphere before? It means half of a sphere. Now, complete metamorphosis involves 4 stages of development. Is that true? Hemi is how many? 3. This is 4. This is 3. For the holo, we have egg, larva, pupa, and imago, also called adults. Why for hemimetaboly, there is no larva. You have egg, pupa, and imago. Is that right? Okay. So, we are going to briefly talk about the life cycle of each of these. Can we? You are still writing. Am I too fast? Eh? Sorry. My handwriting. Okay, doctor's writing. Sorry. Anyway, oh. Well, please hope you're understanding all these things I'm saying. Eh? Which ones can't you see, please? Okay, please be fast. Okay, please, everybody look up, look up, look up. Stop writing, look up. Let's pronounce these things. Look up. Look up, stop writing. Look up. The first thing you have here is Entamoeba sp. What did I say? Which causes entamoebiasis. What's this? Say it again. This is Giardia sp, which causes giardiasis. What's this? Causes what? Trypanosoma sp, which causes trypanosomiasis. What is this? Causes what? This trypanosomiasis is what we commonly call sleeping sickness. This one is common now, right? Okay. Leishmania sp causes leishmaniasis. Let's go. Again. Plasmodium sp causes plasmodiasis. Say it again. And this plasmodiasis is what we commonly call malaria. Okay. Trichomonas sp. Can you see what I wrote here? That is Trichomonas. Trichomonas sp causes trichomoniasis. Let's go. Say it again. Balantidium sp causes balantidiasis. Then we have pig and man. So is there anyone you cannot see the spelling? Which one? The last one is Balantidium sp. Balantidium sp. This sp means they have other names. Other names. Okay, so are we done writing? Please, let's be fast. Let's be fast. Someone is asking, what's the difference between nymph and pupa? Have you heard about nymph before? Nymph and pupa are what? Are they the same thing? Are they? Yeah, I don't even know. That's the problem. Maybe I'll have to go and check. Someone said dysentery bacillus and entamoebic dysentery are both the causative organisms for dysentery. Why? The person is saying that there are two organisms that cause dysentery. Why? I don't know kind of assignments. Okay, it's not you. Before I answer this question, next week or whenever I come here again, you will give me the difference between dysentery, diarrhea, and cholera. Who then about that? Difference between what? Dysentery, diarrhea, and cholera. The three of them are associated with stooling. But whenever I come again, tell me the difference. Okay, so let's talk about each of these organisms very briefly. As I said, we are going to focus more on trypanosoma and plasmodium, but I'll still talk about these ones. You will not write, if you like, you jot, but you must write in these two. Now, entamoeba sp, how do you get it? The life cycle of entamoeba sp is very short and sweet. Now, how is it transmitted? In biology, we were taught that amoeba, as a free living organism, can exist in two forms. It can exist as cysts. Were you taught that? Did they teach you this? Okay. Let's briefly talk about that then. We have that amoeba can exist in a cyst form or as amoeba, as an organism. Now, what do we mean by cysts? Have you ever seen the egg of a lizard before? It should be a common thing. But you should have. You should have. The egg of a lizard looks like is white. So when you touch it, it's like water is inside, right? That is a typical example of how a cyst looks like. Under unfavorable conditions, amoeba changes to cysts. Changes to what? Cysts. Normally, this thing we call pseudopodia. You know pseudopodia now, right? The pseudopodia of amoeba is what it uses for movement. Is that correct? This pseudopodia is actually an extension of the plasma membrane. Extension of what? Plasma membrane is what we also call cell membrane. So actually, an amoeba looks like our normal cell we know, that has organelles and every other thing. Now, but whenever amoeba wants to move, it will extend its cell membrane. That extension is what we call pseudopodia. It's called what? That's the reason why we say that the legs are false legs. What does pseudo mean? Is it false? The word podium in Latin means legs. Means what? So when you join pseudopodia, what do we have? False legs. So they are not legs truly, but they are just there when it wants to move. Is that making sense? Similarly with what we call, you must have heard about food vacuum before in biology, right? Food vacuum is a false stomach of cells. It is not a stomach, but whenever they eat, it just forms. After digestion of the food, it disappears. So similarly, when there is adverse weather conditions or unfavorable condition, this amoeba that looks like this in a pseudopodia form will just become round like a ball, and that ball is called a cyst. It's called what? Similarly, entamoeba, is it an amoeba? Yes. Entamoeba also follow this pattern. It also follow the pattern. Now, entamoeba actually reproduces asexually. In what form? Asexually. Now remember, we said that we have two main types of host: primary host and what? Secondary host. The one where asexual reproduction occurs is called what? Secondary. Now, when I'm done with the life cycle, you will tell me the kind of hosts amoeba should use. Now, the life cycle of amoeba begins once the egg is ingested into the mouth. Now, let's assume I have entamoebiasis. That I have entamoeba histolytica in me now, and I go to toilet in the bush. Did anybody grow in the village here? Yeah? Don't form now. There are people that don't use water closet at home. You are forming. Who are you forming for? It's pit toilet too. Now let's assume you go to toilet in the bush. And there are those days in the bush, not like I did these things where I studied, I read it in books. And then there are times you will go to toilet in the bush and there is no toilet tissue paper. You will see people using their hand. Usually in the north, they carry this kettle. Have you observed that? If you have lived around the outside people, whenever they go to toilet, they use, there's this small rubber kettle they go. They believe they don't use toilet tissue. But that's actually the best way. I said it here sometime before. You wash your bum after defecating. Using toilet tissue is not right. Not like it's not right. It is not 100% hygienic. Okay. Now, so when they do that, after washing their bum with the kettle and water, for guys, once you meet a guy on the road, what do? You shake your hand. So once you shake your hand, let's assume this person now has entamoeba histolytica. Now, after that, the eggs of that organism can actually be in your hand, can enter. That's why they say don't grow fingers. In hospital, once you enter the theater with finger, consultants will slap you. Because you can actually give someone a disease. There are diseases we call nosocomial infections in medicine. There are diseases that you go to hospital without them and you come back with them. In Igbo, they will tell us, gwam, 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 gwam iye baraka rie no chere munata. What was it again? This Gen Z generation, Gen Z. You now do gwam, gwam, gwam in Igbo in your schools. Gwam, 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 gwam iye baraka rie no chere mubata. They said it's Aki. So will tell you one year waka ba off your cheromo bata. They tell you it's okoko. Okay, Ede. To. Anyone. But similarly, that's what happens in hospital at times. People will go to hospital without, they will go to be cured of a disease. They will come back with many. Yes, it happens. So one of the ways to prevent is that your nails, when you grow nails, imagine you eating a goosey soup now. You even leak. Fianis. Now, mommy is it the chicken manovi. So as you are looking, it's actually sucking in dirt. They are sucking in dirt. Before you eat, this thing we do once you want to eat, you go and use water and wash your hand. It's not correct. You use soap and water. When you come out from the toilets, you say you dip your hand in water, you have washed, they play. You are giving them room to swim in your hand. And once they dry there, they stay permanently. Something like viruses don't die. I told us before. They don't die easily. Let's assume I have something like tuberculosis now. What causes tuberculosis? Which organism? The Lord is with your strength. Let's assume I have tuberculosis. And I sneeze here now. That my sneeze droplets will contain the organism, the bacteria. That organism can actually survive here up to 6 to 12 hours. If I mistakenly touch it, rub it in my eyes, my nose, my mouth, or any opening in my body, the organism will enter my body and from there to begin to multiply. Similarly, once you wash your hand with water without soap, did I tell us the difference between antiseptic and disinfectant here before? Right. There are a lot of things I'm not telling you people. And these are things you see every day. You must have seen antiseptic somewhere before, right? And you must have also seen disinfectants. Now the word septic is coming from the word sepsis. From the word what? Sepsis means bacterial infection. In medicine, when you come to a hospital and they want to say you have bacterial infection, doctor will say this person has sepsis. So what does anti mean? Against. Is it against? So antiseptic, what does it mean now? Against bacteria. Against bacteria. Now we have that the common difference between them is that antiseptic can be used in living things or living tissues, while disinfectants are used for non-living things. Example, Dettol, is it an antiseptic or disinfectant? Can you put it in water and bathe? Yes. Iodine, is it antiseptic or disinfectant? Antiseptic. Soap, is it antiseptic or disinfectant? It is both antiseptic and disinfectant. Clean, is it antiseptic or disinfectant? Disinfectant. So have you gotten the difference? We have that generally detergents belong to disinfectants. Detergents have a definition in chemistry. When you read the organic chemistry, the detergents are things that help to make lipophilic materials to become hydrophilic. Okay, that's about that. So what was I talking about? So the amoeba now. So let's assume the outside guy finishes and shakes someone, or that is a bus conductor that just rushed out from toilet and then enters Obiago, and you enter the bus, you need 500, or change, you need change. Another change it here na akpa. You roll nose of full plantain chips you go here. Did you wash your hand? No. Did it enter your mouth? Yes. As it's entering, what is entering is the egg of the organism. Now, as the egg enters your mouth, first of all, it lodges in the large intestine. Lodges where? Large intestine. In the large intestine, it stays there, begins to multiply. As it multiplies, it now later changes to cysts because the condition of the GIT is unfavorable. Now, when it changes to cyst, later, when the person goes to toilet again, the person will release the cysts and the egg. And from there, the life cycle continues. It's as easy as that. Now, our story anchor. Yes. You don't need to understand much. So, in summary, what kind of host is man for entamoeba? Primary or secondary? Primary or secondary? Man is the secondary host of entamoeba histolytica. Do you get that? The same thing I said for entamoeba is same for giardia. They share similar life cycle. So man is the secondary host for entamoeba and giardia. These are your exam questions I'm telling you. Let's talk about the Ogapata Trypanosoma sp. Trypanosoma. Now, the infection with trypanosomiasis begins with when fly bites someone. When what happens? Once fly bites someone, it injects the egg stage of this organism into the blood. Now, once this enters the blood, the organism travels to the heart, from the heart to the liver to the lungs. And from there, the organism actually develops into adults. Listen to what I'm saying now. The organism develops into adults in the human body. This adult stage of the organism stays in the blood. Now, when the fly comes to bite you again, it does two things. The fly is transmitting the eggs, and same time the fly is taking the mature form of the organism. Remember, the organism developed into adults in man. Is that correct? So what is man? Primary or secondary host? Primary or secondary host? Okay, so as it is biting you, is injecting the egg form and taking the larva form. Now this larva form enters the fly. Inside the fly, mating occurs. You know what is mating? What is mating? What form of reproduction? Sexual or asexual? Sexual. Mating occurs, and once this mating occurs, the zygote form of the organism goes to the proboscis of the fly and stays there. Once fly bites you again, it is transmitted and the cycle continues like that. This is just a brief summary of the cycle I'm giving you. You get? So out of this story now, what is the primary host of trypanosoma? What's the primary host? What's the secondary host? So if they ask you in exam, the primary host of trypanosoma is dash, you should know the answer. Be writing these things down. Man, what type of host is man for entamoebiasis? Primary or secondary? Giardia, which host? Secondary. Trypanosoma, fly is which host? Man is which host? Secondary. Leishmania has a similar life cycle with trypanosoma. But the vector for Leishmania is now what we call triatomine-bug. I told you these parts of this class would be boring. But nagidem oh. We have triatomine-bug and man. So triatomine-bug is the primary host, man is secondary host for Leishmania. Then Plasmodium, mosquito. Mosquito also follows the same similar pattern with trypanosoma. So please look at what I'm doing now. This first two has a similar life cycle. This three has a similar life cycle. Is that correct? So for Plasmodium, what's going to be the primary host? Mosquito. Secondary host, man. Then Trichomonas. Trichomonas, actually, the full name of this one is Trichomonas vaginalis. Trichomonas what? Vaginalis. This one lives in the vagina of females. It's usually contracted through sexual intercourse. So it's actually, the life cycle is very short, but it grows into adults in humans. So what kind of host is the humans going to be? What kind of hosts? Secondary hosts. Secondary hosts. Then Balantindium coli. Balantindium sp actually lives in both pigs and man. Pigs and man. Now pig is the primary host and man is the secondary host. Is that clear? As I said, I'm just giving us the summary. I don't want to bother you a lot to writing a lot of notes. This one is just bullet points, jotting points you need to know, because the topic alone is boring. If you start diving into it more, it might even be irritating. So these are the ones. Once you open your past question, pre 50, questions on microbiology, parasites, you see all these things I'm saying there. You get? Okay, it's like I'll discuss the life cycle of Plasmodium very well with us, because it's usually asked in exam. Okay, so write Plasmodium. At least malaria is the #1 killer disease in the world. Hope you know. Malaria is what kills highest in the whole world. As common as it is in Nigeria, it's not as common as that outside Nigeria. Okay, so let's talk about life cycle of Plasmodium sp. Please, I'm begging all of you. I know you are tired. Are you tired? Please, if you are, what's the time? 11? 12 again? Oh? Oh, wow. Okay. Now, I'm just going to list the species of Plasmodium we have. After listening to your next teacher is here, we'll pause there. The species of Plasmodium we have are Plasmodium falciparum, Plasmodium malariae, Plasmodium knowlensi, Plasmodium ovale, Plasmodium vivax, Plasmodium write this thing very fast. Okay, let's work with these 5. Now, these are different species of Plasmodium. Out of all these species, the one that affects us in Africa and Nigeria is the first one. What's that first one called? Plasmodium falciparum. So this is the one that caused that malaria you suffer from. Is in your past question. How many did I list here? 5. Please look up. Look up. The first species is Plasmodium falciparum. What did I say? What does this P here mean? Plasmodium. Second one is Plasmodium what? Malariae. Third one is Plasmodium knowlensi. Fourth one is Plasmodium ovale. And last one is Plasmodium vivax. These ones also affect humans, but not as much as this. Especially in where? The tropics and Africa. Is that making sense? Okay. So I think we are going to stop here. Then before we stop, I'm coming. One more thing. we have that the vector for Plasmodium is what? What's the vector? Female Anopheles mosquito. Wrong. The correct answer is infected female Anopheles mosquito. Now, when you come to mosquito, it's wrong to say that the vector of malaria is mosquito. We have 3 types of mosquito. We have the female Anopheles, we have the Culex mosquito, and we have the Aedes aegypti. This one transmits the parasite that causes malaria. This one transmits the parasite that causes what we call elephantiasis. And this one transmits the vector that causes what we call yellow fever. This is very important to know. In our next class, we are going to start from here. Remind me, we're going to start from here. And then also we're going to talk about trypanosoma and glossina. Glossina is another name for fly. Another name for what? So we're going to stop here. Any questions? I'm coming. Is Staphylococcus transmitted in surfaces? Yes, it can. I'm coming. Please repeat the vector, primary and secondary host of Balantidium coli. Balantidium coli does not have any vector. Does it have primary hosts? Yes. Which one? Pig. Secondary host is man. If for all these protozoans, their secondary host is man. When we go to flatworm, it changes. But when we get there, what does it mean when malaria enter your... I don't understand. Your time drug. Does the Entamoeba gingivalis cause bitterness in the mouth? Was any question again? Any other question? Entamoeba gingivalis does not necessarily cause bitterness. I've told you what it does. See you all next time. Thank you.